So my favorite color is white. You would never guess that based on all my artwork. And I love that blank canvas feeling. It has so much potential and it's so pure. But then when you look at a finished piece, you're like, oh man, it was beautiful and worth it to kind of disrupt that piece and to see this like finished piece that you have. And it's that time that I do love it, that's all that really matters. I have 3 young children, and a lot of my time was spent on them. And I really needed to find time for myself and to do self-care and to just have a mental break. So when they were getting a little bit older, we were just out of diapers, I was scrolling through social media. I'm in this rabbit hole of alcohol ink, and there were a lot of artists that were giving away free advice and free tutorials, and I'm like, I'm gonna try it. I immediately tried it, opened it up when it came in the mail. 2 years later, I have way too much alcohol ink. It was really just that time where I needed to focus on myself, and my kids were becoming a little less dependent on me, and I could separate being a mom from being myself, just a little bit, just as far as the couch from the dining room table. So alcohol ink is concentrated ink. It's the ink that you find in markers. There's many ways you can use it. You can paint it. You can just let it flow freely, and you use it with alcohol solutions, so isopropyl alcohol, and you use it to move the medium around, and you can blow it, or again, you can paint it, or you can just let it dry naturally. So usually I lay out trash bags to protect my work surface. I select my canvas, so typically I use a gesso artboard. I'll pick one main color and I'll just go from there and see what flows. Sometimes I'll throw in a rogue color and try to test myself. So there's 2 ways that I do make a piece. One is where I try to have negative space, and that's where I'm looking at composition and I want to try, a certain movement or a certain shape on there. Other times, my whole goal of a piece is to completely cover the canvas. That's the intention of the piece, is to be very colorful and very full. The really cool thing about alcohol inks is that you can't control it. It's liquid, it's fluid, it's going to move. It's dynamic. It may dry faster than you'd like, and then you have to work with it. It may just sit there in a puddle and become this muddy mess. And I can create these boundaries on paper, and I can move it and manipulate it as much as I want. But ultimately, the ink is doing its own work, and it's creating its own art by itself. So my work, it's different from other artists because I try to focus a lot on my own intention and my own feelings at the time. A lot of my art is focused on balance in my life. So sometimes you can see my feelings come through, whether I'm happy or I'm angry with my kids, or I'm just really just in a content place and focused. And you can see that across the board in all of my art. It's very emotional and very liquid and fluid, and you can see all the movement in there. I know that my artwork, when I'm creating it and I'm putting all my emotion into it, you can see it. It's visual. And if that same emotion comes across to you, perfect. And if it triggers something different, because we're all gonna feel different things at different times in our lives. If it triggers some kind of response in you, then my work is done.